What is up? This is Dave with 15 for Coffee, business English for international superstars. That's right, international superstars. If you are someone who was born where English is not the primary language, but you have a talent, you have a gift, and you are using English to get a better job, talk to the boss, get a promotion, maybe find a new market for your product, or to really access more opportunities across the world using English, or maybe English is coming to you or coming to your country, like for nearshoring. This video is for you so that you can use your English in a more effective, strategic way and get better results. I know a lot of people out there have this vision, you have the drive, and you already are doing something that most people don't have the guts or are not able to do. So first of all, that's awesome. You have a vision, that's awesome. But maybe you're not getting the same results that you do in your own language. And we're going to change that. We're going to use Fortune 500 sales strategies to bridge the gap between where you're at with which English level you're on to the job results that you want, the professional jobs results, the career results, the business results that you're looking for in those business environments. So we're going to talk about some of the opportunities. We're going to talk about some of the issues on how this happens. And of course, my big promise to you, we're going to wrap up at the end with a tip, technique, or roadmap that you can use in your next meeting, no matter what level you're at, beginner, intermediate, or advanced. So let's get started. First of all, I always say this, 50% of the internet, 50% of international business is online. That's crazy, right? That includes social media. That includes the ability to create a market or tap into a market. Social media or influencer marketing is very popular as well, where you can partner with an influencer that has a market and find new clients for your business. So there's a lot of opportunity using English. And I just want to remind you, most of you guys and gals are out there, and you are really the minority of people in your community who are using English in a professional manner because you have a vision, you have a drive, and you want to see it through. And that's what we're here to do, is give you the resources based on Fortune 500 sales strategies so you can get the results you know you deserve. So let's get into it, yeah? Okay, first of all, talked a little bit about this already, internet, international business. I want to talk about this. This is really important. If you're new to the channel, we talk about this pretty much every week. We call it the language gap. You have a skill level in your language, but it does not translate. And you have some type of gap here. We want to close this gap. How are we going to do that? First of all, we're going to come over here and we need to reframe our thinking. Most people think that, hey, I need more vocabulary. I need new phrases. I need to know, hey, EOD, I need to know, let's circle back and memorize all these phrases. Yeah, that's fine. That is how people talk, but that's not what's really going to move the dial. I want to remind you guys all that you have a gift, you have a talent. It's not about getting more of that. It's about maximizing what you have and optimizing what you have so you can use that for leverage to get better results in a professional setting. So the game plan here is we're going to use your current level of English. We're going to add a proven strategy, which is my background as a financial sales and service professional for 17 years, copywriter for 3 years, 3 years now, over 150 million in phone sales, 7 investment licenses, and I guarantee you the techniques and tricks that we're going to teach you are being used right now in the United States to close million-dollar deals, even over the phone and in person, okay? So if you were with us last week, we talked about how to get ready for a meeting, how to get ready for an event, right? And what we're going to do today is we're going to put that into practice. We're going to do our 10-step networking. Okay, guys, this has been put together by trial and error from yours truly. I live in Monterrey, Mexico right now, so I am using Spanish to help reach out to more people in the local community who could benefit from my program. And this is a 10-step networking roadmap that we're going to use based on my background, based on my experience. So we're going to break it down. Let's get going. What do you say? Let's go. First of all, you walk into a networking event. This is for anyone on the international stage. You're going to an event where English will be the primary language, which is not your primary language. You are learning English in order to achieve business success. And maybe you're going somewhere, anywhere in the world, or maybe it's an online event. anything that you're going with the networking, we want to make it so that you walk in there, have a great time, and walk out with really good contacts, really good conversation, and hopefully some really strong leads or appointments that are set. So the first step is to really just introduce yourself and ask your name. And I want to get on one topic before we get into all this. There's something that's really important we need to remember, and that's your superpowers as a influencer, as a salesperson, as a leader. Empathy, curiosity, and great questions. Let's just talk about this really briefly because this is all about the energy that you bring. And it's going to come up a lot in these roadmaps, and the structures that you're going to learn here is how to go through the process. But also, we're not memorizing scripts. We're really understanding concepts, but it all comes from here. This is the motor of how we create influence. It's our empathy, which is the ability to put ourselves in someone else's shoes. Curiosity, which is really genuinely being curious about who they are, what their experience is, what are they passionate about, what are their fears, what are their goals, what's their past like, what's their future, what's their hopes, all that stuff, right? And then being able to ask really impactful questions that make people just smile, right? Questions that help people work through problems or inspire them or get them motivated again. You really want to add to people, so you don't want to go into these meetings and these events trying to have a goal and say, well, I need to get this many sales and I need to get this many leads. Forget about that. We talk about that in the checklist here. We want to set goals, but we don't need business goals as our primary objectives. Our primary objectives is really to connect with people in that group. And if we connect correctly, the business goals will take care of themselves. Here's an example of the introduction. Hey, my name's Dave. What's your name? Simple, right? You don't need a fancy thing to say. You don't need to have this complicated thing. What matters is the energy you bring. I have a smile. Hey, how you doing? My name's Dave. What's your name? I shake hands. The reason it's important that you introduce yourself first is because it shows that you take initiative. It shows that you're willing to be vulnerable and share your name first. And that's going to open it up and create a better environment for someone to join you and say, hey, my name's whatever, Jim, Sally, whatever name you're going to be meeting to that day. Introduce yourself, ask their name. Then we want to have a list of questions like in our interview prep. So really just asking questions. Hey, how'd you find out about this event? What brings you here? What are you excited about? What was your experience like when you came in the front door? What did you think? Any type of questions that really get them talking. From there, again, it's not about having like the most amazing question. If you have real empathy and curiosity for this person, that will come through in the question. And it's really about the follow-up question, not just the first question you ask, but the follow-up question and listening to what they say, really paying attention and picking up on those little leads that they're going to give you that you can dive down into deeper. Maybe it's how they got there. Maybe it's where they came from. Maybe it's how long they took to get there. There's a million opportunities here for you guys to really connect with someone really quick by asking about them. Focus on the other person. When they ask you a question back, which they inevitably will, you're going to give them a quick answer. And we talked about this in video number 2 about the value proposition. You can give a really brief answer back to them that answers their question and creates curiosity so that you can throw the conversation back to them and put the focus back on this other person so that they can continue and you can continue to learn about them and they can continue to speak about themselves and what they do and what brought them there and all this great information that we're going to use later on when we're closing up the conversation. Guys, also, it's really important at these networking events that it's not all business. You do want to switch to general or personal topics with people. This is important on a lot of levels. One is that people buy people. People work with people that they like. So you want to get to know people and you want to create an emotional connection with them. So that might be asking them questions about what do they like, or what is their favorite thing about the city, or something about the location, or if you know where they're from or where they came from. You can talk about all these things to create rapport and find common ground and say, oh, I've been there before. I want to go there. What do you think? What do you recommend? So that you have a little bit of topic. So if someone were to walk by and hear you talking, they might actually think that you knew each other prior to the event. So it's really good to switch to those personal topics. Again, we're going to use those later on and in our closing of the conversations, right? Again, brief answers. I want to give them brief answers when they answer me. And also, the more information I understand from the person I'm speaking with, the better I can pull information for my value proposition. Once again, that's video 2. Go back and check that out if you haven't. Super important, super powerful. That will unlock your ability to have confidence and connect with anyone in the world using English. Have that brief answer. Give them a custom answer that they really like, where you're like, oh, you remember how you told me about XYZ with your work? Yeah, I help people with that. I help people with that kind of example that you gave me. So I'm using their examples to explain myself, which makes it way easier for people to understand you and for people to establish trust with you. Switch to general personal topics again. Oops, I had that twice. Definitely important. You can go back and forth, but we really want to establish common ground. Find something in common with that person that you guys both like, that you both connect with, and you can feel like a little bit of connection created there. Again, I want to go off on a little tangent here, but you ever notice how sometimes it takes a long time to get to know somebody? Generally, that's because there's a long time between interactions, right? So if I work with someone, it might take me a year or two to really become close with them, because I only interact with them on a certain amount of times per year. If you can increase the velocity or the rate at which you are having these conversations, you're going to shorten the cycle or shorten the time it takes to become friends or create a relationship. So the more that you talk and the more that you interact, the more that you learn about other people, the faster you can create relationships and the quicker you can establish trust, which is super essential for doing business with anybody, right? We establish common ground. We get back to business. Remember, we're at a networking event, so should be a pretty quick conversation unless you hit like a really good topic. Then you might want to continue, but be aware of the other person and make sure that you're not taking too much time with each person, right? Get back to business. Tie the personal thing back to the business conversation. And then what you want to do is set some type of information or contact information, or set next steps and say, hey, let's get a meeting. I think we could talk about this. I really want to learn more about this service that you offer, because I think it might be a potential opportunity for my business or maybe my friend's business or someone else I know, right? So I'm setting next steps. I'm getting contact information. And at the end of this, I'm going to say something like, I'm going to end it on a personal note. We might have this business meeting scheduled, or I got their business profile, but I want to use their name. I want to say, hey, it was so great to meet you and learn about you today. I really hope that your cat gets better, or you have a good vacation, or you have a good trip back if I don't get to talk to you tonight. And say their name, and then basically you say goodbye. Hey, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go check out this. I'm going to go grab something to eat. I'm going to grab a drink. I'm going to go say hi to some people. That's a really good one. Hey, I'm going to go say hi to somebody. Perfect. You're at a networking event. And now you're going to repeat the process. So guys, that's it, right? That's it. A lot of steps here. Not too many, but we got 7, 8, and so we got 10 steps. Oh yeah, 10. I already said that, 10. But guys, remember, break it down. Like, don't make it too complicated. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. Okay? So if you're struggling in any one part, think about what you want to focus on at that part. If you're struggling starting the conversation, just focus on having a really good energy and being really curious about the people, okay? To use this, and sorry, let me get back to this and finish up. The middle is going to be learning about that person. After you ask a question, really listening, playing a little paddle with them, knocking that ball back to them, and getting the conversation back to them by being concise with your answers, but also creating curiosity. Your job is to learn about them as much as possible. So if you do have an opportunity for your business goal, you can really have personal experience and personal words that they've used to make your point, and having it be the next logical conclusion for you guys to have a meeting. Hey, it was great to hear about this need that you had. I have something that would be able to solve that. How about we set up a meeting next week and we can get into more details? I think that makes a lot of sense, because I could talk to you all day, but I'm sure you want to go grab the hors d'oeuvres maybe grab a drink and meet some more people. Yeah? Okay, cool. The ending, remember, be thankful. Say, I'm really glad to meet you. Have some next steps set, and then use their name and try to end on a personal note so that you walk away and they say, I like that person. That's a good guy. That's a good person. That's a good girl. Good gal. Excuse me. That's a good human being that I respect. I had a good time talking to them. I'm interested in learning more about them. They've hooked me with curiosity and value. Okay. How to use this, you want to make sure you go through your meeting checklist. You want to go through the value proposition. Meeting checklist is meeting number 4. The value proposition is video number 2. Be interested, not interesting. Always focus on where you can add value, whether that's to that person directly by listening to them, or maybe the organization itself at the networking event. You might want to go to the person organizing it and learn more, and maybe you can volunteer or find out how you can be more involved with the process next time. Remember, it's about quality of conversations. It's not about talking to everyone and giving everyone your business cards. Yes, I'm sure that could work, but what's going to make more sense is to go into these events, have a really good, genuine conversation, find good contacts, have a good conversation, get to know people, have a good time, and hopefully you can walk away with better contacts, better leads that are going to help you close business and not be nervous about these events anymore, guys. So use the steps. They do work. This is all based on sales strategies from the Fortune 500 companies of the USA's biggest and baddest brokerages. Some of the best salespeople in the world use these exact strategies. So it's not a question of if it works or not. It's a question of if you're going to do it. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, put some comments in there. If you want to check out the next video, we're going to be going into something I love. It's called Ikigai. We're going to do that next week, where we're going to talk about your story, what your passions are, so that you stand out from the crowd and you can communicate your value and your story and your passion really simply, all in English, even when you struggle and even when you feel like you're not yourself when you speak English. That's going to change. Follow for more, hit the subscribe button, alert for the next video so you can learn your Ikigai and really be a really influential person in your next meeting, interview, whatever you have going where you need to perform and have good results using English. I'll talk to you guys later. I believe in you. And remember, not everyone can do what you do. So go out there with gusto, go out there with confidence, and I believe in you. You got this. Let's go.